Good luck to you, my friend.
This is me, about to play a game of Dr. Mario against J.B. Henry, a former video game tester for Nintendo, at the Dr. Mario Championships, an event with dozens of Dr. Mario pros playing the original version for the NES from 1990 on CRT televisions to determine who will take home the trophy as the year's Dr. Mario champion. So how did I do in the competition, and who ultimately won? Before diving in, it's probably good to clarify how I got here, since, as you may have guessed, I am not actually a pro Dr. Mario player. My fiancée Una and I are classic Tetris players and have been competing in NES Tetris tournaments for years. But while we were at the 2019 Tetris World Championships in Portland, Oregon, we sat and watched a Dr. Mario side event and were blown away by how exciting it really was.
Next card's down to just 2 viruses, just 1! Oh! The combo didn't resolve! Tie goes to the tournament director. We're gonna have to check this card later.
Una had actually participated in the event, and although she got ousted in the first round, we both agreed afterwards that since we had enjoyed it so much, that we should try attending whatever the World Championships equivalent was of Dr. Mario. Except this time it would be my turn to try competing and put myself out there on the line. So last September, we drove out to Columbus, Ohio for the 2021 Dr. Mario Championships, and upon arrival, quickly realized we had far from the longest trip there.
Where did you come from for this tournament?
I came from Los Angeles.
I came from Michigan, actually.
We're from Northridge, California. We flew all the way out just to play each other in a tournament that we play each other every night.
These were not just casual players. Many of them had been playing Dr. Mario for decades.
How long have you been playing Dr. Mario?
I started playing when I was a kid, and I lost to my mom a lot, and I think a lot of us have that story. Since I was a little kid, my mom came with me. We played when I was really young.
Since 1991. The original Game Boy Advance with the LED screen. We had the wire connecting the 2 Game Boys. We had the battery pack. That was our date night, 3-4 hours just going head to head.
So how does this game they all love so much work? If you're unfamiliar with Dr. Mario, the basic concept is pretty simple. A bottle on screen fills up with blue, red, and yellow viruses. Dr. Mario then throws capsules with different color combinations onto the screen. And the goal is to create combinations of 4 colors in a row that disappear and clear away the viruses. Side note, the official name for the capsules are vitamins, although despite what Nintendo would prefer, people often refer to them as pills.
In 3, 2, 1, pills!
As you clear the different colors of viruses, they disappear out of the magnifying glass, and after all the viruses are gone, you win and move on to the next level. But it's best to clear out the viruses quickly, as if you take too long, the speed the vitamins drops increases, and if they block the entrance to the bottle, you top out and lose. On the menu screen, you can choose between 3 different starting speeds and starting levels 0 to 20, which add more and more viruses as you go up. And upon clearing every 5th level, you get to see a cutscene of what I can only imagine is the virus afterlife. That's the single player mode. The multiplayer mode is really what takes things to the next level. In a versus match, both players are racing against each other to clear their board of viruses first. But there's a twist. If they clear 2 or more groups of 4 in a single move known as a combo, this will rain garbage pieces on the opponent's board. Not only can this mess up their board, but it also stalls them from playing until the pieces have finished falling. Each round ends when one player wins by clearing out all their viruses, or one player loses by topping out. Matches are best of 5, and the first player to 3 victories wins the match.
My strategy is to combo first so that I buy myself some time. Because if you can get a string of combos, then you can get them to top out fast. I want to win fast. I don't want the game to be long. I just want to end the game as fast as I can.
The fact that a clear also triggers floating units and adjacent columns to fall down creates an extra layer of strategy to construct giant combos, such as this incredible cascading virus combo here.
Bidwell's looking, oh my gosh. Oh, it's gonna keep coming down. He went from 0 to hero so quickly.
So those are the basics of how competitive Dr. Mario works. But my follow-up question was, well, how does the tournament as a whole work, and how did the scene even come together in the first place? To answer that question, I would need to talk to the head doctor himself, Chris Bidwell.
My name is Chris Bidwell. I am, I guess, the founder of the Dr. Mario World Championship, the DRMC. We can't call it the Dr. Mario World Championship because Dr. Mario World was that not very great mobile game that Nintendo released and they just discontinued this past month. So to avoid confusion, we just dropped the world. But we eventually have global ambitions.
It turns out that the tournament actually had its origins in the Tetris scene I was a part of, as Chris Bidwell had been a volunteer for years at the Classic Tetris World Championships under the leadership of co-founder Vince Clemente.
I mentioned to Bidwell. Bidwell asked me one time at a CTWC, he's like, what can I do for you? You do so much for the Tetris community and people. And I was like, well, why don't you make a Dr. Mario tournament that I could go to and relax and have fun?
So I had some connections and I'd run tournaments before, so I did, and we were in Pittsburgh for a few years and it was great.
The inaugural tournament was held in 2017 at the Replay FX convention in Pittsburgh. Vince ended up making the finals, but was defeated by Packy, who took home the first Dr. Mario Championship title. In 2018, which was held at the same convention in Pittsburgh, Packy repeated as champion, taking down Kersel in the finals for back-to-back titles and emerging as the most dominant player in the scene. But in 2019, Packy got upset in the semifinals by Michael G in an airtight Game 5 that came all the way down to the last virus. This set the stage for Heather, whose husband was the 7-time Tetris World Champion Jonas Neubauer, to take on Michael G in the finals, where she defeated him in a sweep to take home the 2019 title.
Oh, and we have it! We have our new Dr. Mario champion. You won the whole thing. Ah!
The big leap was the introduction of JB's speedrun community. He started that up during the pandemic, the monthly speedrun tournament.
JB, who was mentioned previously, had been a game tester and actually tested Dr. Mario on the Wii and had gone undefeated in the office, had come out to play in that same 2019 Dr. Mario side event I had attended, and was inspired to get more involved after the tournament. Right after the pandemic hit, he started up a monthly online tournament called Dr. Mario Monthly. There was just one catch. You can't have a traditional Dr. Mario versus match on the NES online. Both players have to be there together in person with their controllers hooked into the same NES to play. So what was the solution? Well, the matches in Dr. Mario Monthly were played as two separate single-player games head-to-head where both competitors were racing to complete a series of levels in a faster time. For people in the classic Tetris scene, the structure may sound familiar, as it's a very similar format to how organizers have made competitive NES Tetris matches out of a single-player game with no garbage sending. Having a consistent monthly tournament caused a huge growth in online activity in the Dr. Mario community. But when it came time to try and figure out how to host the 2020 Dr. Mario Championships with versus matches online that would be the same as playing versus matches on the 1990 version, there was only one realistic option.
There is an official Nintendo product with the Switch, the NES Online with the Switch Online, but the input lag it's not good. Let's just put it that way. Top level players like Heather back in 2020 couldn't deal with it.
Heather ended up losing to Packy in the round of 32, and Packy would go on to get sniped by a player named Snipe in the semifinals in another match that went all the way to the final game after getting stuck with a mountain of garbage high up on the board and topping out early. Snipe would then win the title in a dominant finals match versus DM Hero. And although the tournament was a success in keeping the yearly event alive, the lag was so pervasive that the matches had needed to be bumped down to medium speed instead of the typical high speed.
Nothing beats the live console with the perfect input delay.
So finally, the Dr. Mario Championships were returning to a live venue, this time at the Torg Expo in Columbus after Replay FX had shut down. Going into 2021, Packy was viewed as probably the favorite, having won 2 previous titles and only being eliminated the previous 2 years on tough luck losses.
Packy is fast, he combos, and he's just a great player. There he is. Look at that. Look at that guy. See him? It's terrifying.
And despite former champions Snipe and Heather being unable to make the trip out to compete, Packy's third attempt at a third title seemed like it'd be the toughest yet, given the huge amount of new players that would be competing in the tournament for the first time.
All of the speedrun players wanted to come out to the live versus tournament, so we got a big explosion of those players coming in, and they all knew each other coming in online and met each other for the first time this year.
I joined the speedrunning community October last year, and I've been playing ever since. And then I came here, and I'm gonna commentate later. I'm really excited.
So I signed up to try and qualify for one of the 32 available spots in the bracket. In order to qualify, I was assigned to a group of 5 other players and had to play each of them once. These were not best of 5 matches. We were only playing a single game on level 11 at high speed. And immediately, I got paired up with a veteran, Dave Smith, who barely gave me an opportunity to place pieces in between all the garbage he was sending me.
Don't top out. No! Jeez.
But then something unexpected happened. I was invited to the main stage to play a match versus Scott, one of the tournament staff, on the live stream commentated by JB. I got in big trouble early as I misdropped on the left to shut off my left side, but I just managed to flip a yellow-blue vitamin in for a combo at the top that would keep me alive and send a little bit of garbage over to Scott's board.
And it's a top out, 45-44. Scout wins.
And then, as you saw at the beginning of the video, I got to play JB himself, and predictably got clobbered. At the end of all 5 games, the scorekeeper Megan showed me my results.
You are here.
Okay.
Big win. Here.
Nice.
Another big win.
And then I lost 2.
A couple else. Yeah.
2 wins and 3 losses was good enough for a .400 win rate. That temporarily put me above the cutoff line at 28th seed, but I was also given a 21.2 points per match ranking. What did that mean?
The one question I asked every player, and nobody could give a comprehensive answer, was how the scoring worked for qualifying.
I mean, there's a lot of math involved in the actual numbers of it, based on how many viruses they have left, and if you top them out, or if you get to 0, they do like a calculation on like a winning percentage. A lower number of pills indicates probably a better game and a higher score, I think. Or easy top outs.
I don't know if it's you get 1 point for every virus you have left, or you like it's some kind of subtraction process.
I'm not good at math. I'm just gonna try to win.
So how does that work?
Okay, so if you win, that's the key. The only thing we needed scoring for is tie-breaking situations. If everybody won their bracket undefeated, how do you rank all those undefeated players?
There's no real fair way like there is in Tetris to like have the high score be the qualifying, right?
There's not a high score.
There's not a high score, and we're not playing for score.
The only thing that we could do with what is objectively available in a Dr. Mario game is whether you win and how many viruses are left. The first year we did this, I came up with a system, and you get 2 points for every virus you destroy, and 1 point left for every virus remaining on the opposite player's board. It rewards a player who finishes quickly, and if their opponent didn't finish very many, that's like the highest possible score.
What this meant is that games that you won because you got lucky and your opponent topped out early weren't worth nearly as much. So for example, in my game versus Scott, even though I got 44 points for all those viruses he left on the board, I had only cleared 3 viruses at that point, so that was only worth 6 points. Bidwell further clarified to me that on losses you only get 1 point per virus cleared and your opponent's board doesn't matter. So on those early top out losses, I was getting basically no points. Altogether, I had 106 points, which divided by my 5 total matches resulted in the 20 points ranking, which was pretty darn low compared to most of the other players. Now you may be wondering how the pools are chosen in the first place. Are they based off of player strength? The answer is it's whoever happens to be in front of the sign-up booth at the time. So essentially they're pretty random. But if you're not happy with how your pool went, you do have the opportunity to sign up for another one. Ultimately, the qual system is pretty hard to cheese because it most rewards players who do well against other good players. Most of the time, getting lucky or clobbering players far below your skill level won't get you as many points, and thus won't get you a top seed. And from my observation that day, the qual system seemed to work well. At the end, Packy predictably nabbed the #1 seed with a perfect win rate and an astounding 98 points per match in his best pool, and I had been bumped off the board because my points were just not comparable to the other players with a .400 win rate. Which is fine. I had no business being in that bracket. The qual system did its job. I had fun, and I'm glad at least I got a few wins. But now that the quals were over, the question was, who would win the championship? The competitors were organized into a 32-player single elimination bracket. Packy had the top spot in the bracket, of course, and Ibar from Minnesota was close behind at the #2 seed. The Tetris World Championships co-founder Vince was in at the #3 seed. Crimson, who had made the semifinals in 2020, was in as the 9th seed. Savage Octagon, one of the new speedrunners, was the 14th seed. Doc and Choco Cat, the couple from California, had made it in as the 16th and 20th seed. And finally, Chris Bidwell, the tournament organizer, was in at the 21st seed. JB counted down the start of the bracket stage.
In 3, 2, 1, 2.
Straight from the very first round in the top 32, it was clear that it would be a year of surprises, as Vince, a former finalist, got swept by a huge underdog, John H.
He has competed in previous years of the DMC, and he's out! Wow. 3-0.
Seekers, no!
Choco Cat would also go out in the first round to Influx, a new player who I had learned had driven in from Kansas City but had his Airbnb cancel on him at the last minute, so he had ended up sleeping on Chris Bidwell's couch. Influx would end up being a player to keep an eye on, and all the other players advanced past the first round. At the top of the round of 16 was Packy versus Doc, which turned out to be an insanely close match as Doc would take 2 games off Packy to force a game 5 before Packy ultimately prevailed.
This guy is good.
This guy's better.
Not that much better though. Not that much better.
Well done.
Doc had similarly only barely lost to the former champion Heather in an early round in his only other live appearance at the 2019 Portland side event. Although he had not yet made it far in a live tournament, he'd only been eliminated by the very best, and had made his mark as a star player to watch in the future. In Chris Bidwell's match versus Grant, he had fought all the way to a game 5 and managed to hurdle a very difficult lump of yellow garbage onto Grant's board. It was too high to clear off the top, and the adjacent column that could lower it down had no immediate clears available, both horizontally and vertically. After another combo, Bidwell had it in the bag.
Every one of those combos that could be dangerous, and that one causes a top out. And Chris moves on.
Yes! Woo!
Everyone but Doc had advanced to the next round to create a stacked top 8, headlined by the incredible matchup of Packy versus Crimson.
3, 2, 1, Hills!
Crimson topped out early in Game 1 after just missing a clear on the right, but Game 2 was one of the best games of the tournament. Packy was cruising the entire way to the finish line, building up a colossal lead with just 1 virus left to Crimson's 32, but his final blue virus was trapped in all directions by tons of garbage. So would it be possible for Crimson to complete a seemingly insurmountable comeback? She was clearing away viruses as quickly as she could and slipping in combos wherever possible, but before long, Packy had drilled down to expose the final virus and only needed 2 blue pieces to win. The only option Crimson had left was to stall him completely, and knocked down 5 rapid combos that prevented Packy from being able to drop a single vitamin for over 20 seconds. Something Jonas had coined on the mic as stun locking.
This just repetitive stun lock by Crimson.
Starting to build up a little bit of a comeback now. He's got a red-blue coming down the line. Crimson's got to hope to delay it.
When Packy was finally able to move again, he answered with a combo that ended up stalling Crimson in return just long enough to prevent her from countering and complete his final virus.
What a great effort by Crimson, but Packy finally gets that last blue virus.
On the edge of death, Crimson had managed to overcome nearly half the deficit before ultimately conceding. In Game 3, Packy and Crimson were neck and neck, but an untimely misdrop in the center of Crimson's board caused things to spiral.
Ooh, we're in danger of a top out for Crimson.
Oh
no!
The high speed got her, and Packy is going to advance to the semifinals. What a fantastic way to open the top 8.
I know that was a sweep, but that was not an easy sweep.
Next, Chris Bidwell would face the man he let sleep on his couch. And maybe to return the favor, Influx topped out early in Game 1 after a misdrop.
Oh, and that's a top out!
An early top out for Influx.
But Influx would recover to take the next 3 games, finishing off with a triple into a board completion.
He just needs a yellow, and he is going to the semifinals. That is it!
And that will put Influx into the semifinals.
And I've been told that for advancing to our semifinals, all of our players are guaranteed at least $125. That's cash.
Touching.
Savage Octagon faced off against Rodzilla, and her speedrunning prowess paid off in Game 1, clearing the board with a comfortable lead to the end.
So she's in pretty good shape to finish it off, and
she's going to get it. Very quick work there.
But Rodzilla would recover to win the next 2 games, and Game 4 came down to the final virus.
She's got the horizontal setup thanks to the garbage. Not going to go for it. She's going to set up a drop cross here, it looks like.
Oh, but
she's down to 1, but it's just too late as Rodzilla pulls out that last virus and advances to the semifinals.
Rodzilla had punched a ticket to the semifinals, and although Savage Octagon was eliminated, she had the consolation prize of joining the commentary booth for the rest of the tournament.
How are you doing? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling fantastic.
You've had a hell of a day.
I have had a time.
It was time to move on to the semifinals, which started off with Packy versus Influx, which might have been the most fascinating match of the tournament.
3, 2, 1, Hills!
After an early Game 1 top-out, Influx deployed a unique strategy going into Game 2, and it took the commentators a moment to figure out just what he was trying to do.
Okay.
Deliberate umbrella by. Okay.
Oh, I see the strategy. Okay, he's saying he's building an umbrella, so he's trying to protect those left and right sides.
Essentially, the capsules on top would prevent any falling garbage from affecting what he was working on underneath.
Board health seems adequate, but I'm seeing the disadvantage here of this umbrella strat because it really essentially forces you to clear your sides horizontally.
But Influx is a student of the game. He has watched everybody play, knows their strategies. He must have decided ahead of time that this was the way to go if you're going to try to beat Packy.
Influx nodded his head in agreement. So did his strategy pay off? Almost. He stayed within striking distance until the end, but Packy finished Game 2 with a 6-virus lead.
2-0 here for Packy.
In Game 3, Influx decided to ditch the umbrella strat and just play the traditional way, and again had a strong showing, keeping within shouting distance all the way through.
I think he's going to want to just make sure everything's nice and stacked, and he just needs the red, and Packy will be going to the finals. And there it is.
On the other side of the semis, Ibar coasted to a 4-game victory with a comfortable margin in the final game.
I might have laid that double yellow flat just to get the easy horizontal, but it's not going to matter as Ibar is moving on to the World Championship. Great match between these two players.
But would he be able to stack up against the juggernaut Packy in the finals? Things did not start off how Ibar would have hoped in Game 1 as an early misdrop proved fatal.
Ooh, and an early top out from Ibar. Get it out of the way now.
In Game 2, Ibar was less than 5 viruses behind Packy towards the end, but Packy shut the door.
All he needs is 3 blues and he'll take a second game, and he gets them.
And he gets it. Very, very close, but Packy 1 win away.
At the beginning of Game 3, though, Packy set up a risky combo in the top center, and Ibar comboed at just the right time.
Oh! Ibar getting an early top out on Packy.
You do not see that every day.
In the middle of Game 4, Packy had Ibar pinned above tons of garbage, fighting at the top to survive. But Ibar wasn't about to give up and showed why he belonged in the finals.
Never say die here from Ibar. He is piecing combos together, opening that board back up. He is not letting Packy put him away, but it looks like he may have run out of space. It looks like, oh no, another combo. What fantastic top board play, but it's not enough. And your 2021 World Champion, Packy!
How does it feel now being second place? Was this what you were expecting?
Oh no, I was happy to be in the top 32 at least, top 16. And I'm like, let's aim for top 8. Got top 8, let's aim for top 4. All right. Can we get the championship? Not quite. That's all right though.
What was the hardest match of the day?
Oh, it was definitely Packy.
What was the hardest match of the day for you?
Doc. Doc in the second round. He is just absolutely relentless and very focused and disciplined, and he's just an excellent player.
How does it feel being 3-time champ?
This one feels the most special of all because of the circumstances surrounding it. The community's really been built up, and really that's what it's all about in the end. After all the issues with the pandemic, we finally reach a point where we can start having these events again, and that's special. That's special whether I'm in first or dead last.
Like, holding these tournaments is when you're growing up, you don't get to see your friends that often, and if I have to house these elaborate tournaments for a chance to hang out with my friends, that's what I'll do. If everybody were a bunch of jerks, I wouldn't do this every year. So really, it's the people. That's why I do it.
6 years ago, we met in LA. Been quite a rivalry and a friendship since then. Your 3-time champion, Packy 619. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for playing. Take care. Drive safe. Be safe. Get home. We'll see you again next year.
So what happened next in the community? As you might imagine, it continued to grow. Dr. Mario Monthly continued going strong, debuting a second silver bracket in 2022 to accommodate even more competitors, and in fact has an entire website where you can browse the results of previous events, and view each player's historical stats along with learning the rules and how to sign up. A regional qualifier event was held live in Phoenix, Arizona this year that was won by Swang. And finally, the 2022 Dr. Mario Championships are being held Saturday, November 5th, live at the Torg Expo in Columbus, Ohio again. again. Which if you're watching this video when it comes out, that's this weekend. And this year the tournament will really be putting the word world into world champion, with far more competitors than ever before coming from as far away as Israel. You can go to twitch.tv/thedrmc to watch it live and see if Packy will take a 4th title or if someone new will emerge victorious. And if you'd like to check out the Dr. Mario community further or get involved, I'll leave a link to their main Discord server in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.